Hello, my friends. Welcome to Refresh F5 Ministries. I'm Patty Lee, and I am the founder of Refresh F5 Ministries. And before I forget, because I have a tendency to forget when I do these videos, if you would please make sure that you are subscribed to my Refresh F5 Ministries page and that you are following me. Also, if you would give a thumbs up to this video, that would be awesome. And if you feel led, please share this with a friend or two. You never know who needs to hear this message. So if you feel led, please do so. So we're going to go ahead and get into my message that I have for you today from God called Godly or Ungodly. So I know you're thinking, what in the world does this mean? So, have you ever thought about everything that you do, whether it's godly or ungodly? And I know it's not what you're thinking. It's not like you're godly if you do everything the way that God tells you to do it, or you're ungodly if you choose not to do things the way He tells you to do it. So, my niece and I were having a conversation one day, and she actually brought this up to me because it was talked about in her Bible study. And she just thought it was really interesting because the meaning behind it. So she began to explain that ungodly is when you don't, you go about life and you don't think about all the things that God does in every situation that you go through. So you don't recognize God's hand in most everything that you do. You just go about life, you live it the way that you feel that you're supposed to live it, and it's just life. A godly person recognizes God in every single thing that they do. I mean, it's the littlest things. I know a lot of times we don't think that we need to pay attention to God having a hand in little things. We think, oh, He's just there for the big things. He's going to take care of the big things that we need to take care of. But it's not true. Like, God literally cares about every single thing that you do. So, for instance, I remember one day sitting in my mother's living room and I was just talking to God, and He pointed it out to me how much He cares about the littlest things. And I said, God, like, do you really care about when I need to go buy a gift for somebody? And He said, sure. And He said, think about it. If you're on a budget, you only have so much to spend, but you want to be able to give that person a gift that is something they've been wanting. Maybe it's something that they need, or maybe it's just something that has so much meaning behind it that they didn't even realize how much they needed or wanted that gift. And I said, you're right, because I'm on a budget. Like, I really can't afford a lot to give for somebody for a gift. And I said, so Lord, like, you know what that person would desire, or you know what that person really needs. We only know what that person tells us or shows us. So I put God to work and I said, you know what? I have to get a gift. You know what my budget is. Help me find that special gift. And it was then that I realized how important it was to have him involved in my gift giving, or even just how much fun it was because it took all the guessing out of it. I no longer agonized over if I was getting the right gift. It's like I knew without a doubt this was the gift that I needed to give him. Now, I will have to admit to you Most of the time, I do question it because it's not something that I would have normally thought to have given that person. And I will give you some examples. So, just this past Christmas, I was invited to two gatherings from my church. They're like a disciple group, and then the other one is just ladies 50 and above that we just do life together. And we were having our Christmas party. So, of course, we do the gift exchange. Um, I don't have a job. Can't keep taking money out of savings because then I'll no longer have that money to fall back on. So I just said, God, like, I need to come up with a gift for both of these parties. And in one of the parties, they made a note and said the gift exchange will be a gift that you want to re-gift. So I said, oh, okay. Because right before that, when I was trying to give for the other um, Christmas party, that's what God said to me. Like, go through your closets, go through your drawers, and come up with something that you were given as a gift. It's a great gift. You love it, but for whatever reason, you haven't used it and it's still brand new. And so I thought about it. I started digging, and sure enough, I found some things. So now I'm thinking, okay, this is a great idea because I'm regifting a great gift, but it's not something I can afford at this time to actually go out and buy. So one of them was a blanket, a beautiful throw blanket that was wonderful, but it no longer went with my colors. It didn't, like, I have so many throw blankets, like, I really didn't need another one. And there were a couple times I tried to give them to somebody and it didn't work out. So I said, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to give this gift. And then the other one happened to be like a serving piece for the holidays. Beautiful. I loved it. And back in my day when I used to host all the time, I definitely would have used it because I'm all about the hostess with the mostest. Like, I'm going to have every hostess piece and I'm going to lay out a whole table full of goodies, but they're all going to be in special dishes made for that holiday because I just love for things to look beautiful whenever I serve. But I haven't been doing that. So I said, well, this is such a great gift. I really need to regift it because I don't see myself hosting anytime soon. And when I do, I will, I'll figure that out later. So I had these two gifts. Now, mind you, I had already chosen the blanket for my disciple group, and then I had chosen the serving piece because that was after I was invited to the um, disciple group party. I had chosen that one for my ladies group. However, I kept feeling like I needed to change those gifts and give the throw blanket to the ladies group and the serving piece to my disciple group. And I kept trying to do that to swap the bags, and God would not let me do it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, like, this just makes more sense. In my mind, it made more sense to give those gifts the way that I was going to change them than the way that I had originally planned. And I really kept trying to change those gifts, but God wouldn't let me. So at the last minute, I go to the ladies group party first because that was the night before the other group. And I bring the serving dish. And, we did a game similar to Secret Santa, but it was played a little bit different and it was called something different, but it was basically the same principle. And so the girl opened it up, and the girl that got it, she was thrilled over that gift. And quite frankly, knowing her, it was like the perfect gift for her. So then, a night or two later, I go to my next party that I have the throw blanket for. And of course, this is the one I was trying to change. And again, we do Secret Santa, but it's done a little bit differently. And it's also called something different. But basically, it's the same principle. So the girl that ends up with my gift, now I do not know her. Um, this group hasn't been formed for too long. And plus, there was a couple people invited from a similar group that we just combined them together. So I really didn't know her because of that reason. And I have to say, I wanted to just hide because I don't know why. I just felt uncomfortable giving a throw blanket. Like, I wanted it to be something more spectacular, like a beautiful candle or, I don't know, beautiful book or just whatever. And she opened it up and she was so excited. She could not stop talking about how much she loved that throw blanket. She goes, I love the color. This was exactly what I would have wanted. I love how soft it is. And I just said, thank you, Jesus. So, you know what? When you invite God to be a part of your decisions or a part of your plans, like, don't question what He tells you. I'm speaking to myself because I question every single time. Like, me and God have this little back and forth discussion going on, and I know He's like wanting to point the finger at me and say, child, would you just stop? Like, you asked me and I told you, just do it. Because you know what? He knows all of our heart. That's something when we give a gift, we don't really know that person's heart. I don't care if they're family, if they are a best friend, if they're a coworker that we do work with every day, all day long. We do not know their heart. And a lot of times people don't actually tell us what is really on their heart because a lot of times they tell us what they think that we need to hear. God knows differently. So just trust God and let Him do the work. So I'll tell you another story that I guess was when I really saw how much God worked. So I was giving a gift, and this particular person was just having some difficult times. They were, praying about things in their life and didn't see God answering the prayers the way that they wanted them answered, and just having a real difficult time. So, again, I don't have a lot of money, but I knew that I could spend X amount of dollars. So I go and I told God, I said, okay, I think like a gingerbread house would be really cute because she is like me where we love to decorate for the holidays and she has two smaller grandchildren and she's a teacher, all that. So I just knew that the gingerbread house would be an ideal gift. So I go searching. I go to one store, couldn't find it. I did find a gingerbread house, but it was a cookie jar. And I just didn't want a cookie jar. Like I wanted a special gingerbread house that was a decor piece. And so then I go shopping to another store. Couldn't find it there. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to Hobby Lobby. I can definitely find it there. So I go there and I was not finding a gingerbread house at all, not of any kind. Out of all their decorations, I was not finding a gingerbread house. So I was really upset, upset with myself because I was like, I wanted to cross this off my list. I still had time to go pick it out, but I didn't want to like day after day keep going to stores. I just wanted to go and get it done. So I'm about to leave Hobby Lobby. Now I'm on one side of the store because that's where all the holiday decor is. And God tells me to go completely to the other side of the store where they have like all the serving pieces, like just like the trays, the decorative trays and um lighthouses and all that kind of stuff. So he said you need to go over to that section and take a look at the pieces. So I'm thinking all these different pieces that I could look at, and then God brought me to the lanterns. Now, I love lanterns because when I was gathering years ago, I was gathering items from different places like Marketplace and Goodwill, and just anywhere I could find secondhand pieces for decor. I was gathering pieces to use for when I decorated people's houses. And I happened to find a lantern and I was going to use it for my business, but instead I fell in love with it, so I kept it and I love that lantern. Like it just has special meaning to me. So God brought me to the lanterns and I had to laugh and I said, Lord, this is not something that I want to give this person. Like I know I like it, but I don't see why they're going to like it. So once again, I am questioning God, even though I invited him into this decision, and even though I am, knowing that he's the one that knows what I need to get. So I looked through the lanterns, they have several different styles, and I'm not really seeing one that I would have picked out for her style, but obviously God found one. So God's telling me to get this particular one. And of course, I'm questioning it again. And God, I know that He has to sit there and just say, enough is enough. Like, would you just do what I'm asking you to do? So I reluctantly get this lantern. And then I walk by the candles. Now, I have a candle in mine, it's a decorative candle. And really, what I would like to do is switch it out for every season and have a decorative candle that goes with that season. But I have not been able to do that. But the candle I have in there goes with my decor, so it works just fine with every season. Um, so I know how much I love that candle. So it made sense to me to get her a candle to go in there. And because she is pretty picky about the things that she likes, and we don't really decorate the same way. In other words, I wasn't trusting my opinion on what to get. So I just told the Lord, I said, well, I really don't see anything that I think she would like. So why don't we just leave it up to her to get her own candle? Oh no, the Lord was not going to have that. He said, no, you have to get her a candle. It has to go inside this lantern. So I said, okay. So I said, well, Lord, it's got to be a battery operated one because that's the kind that she likes. And it also needs to be decorative. Like, I just don't want like a plain ivory or white candle. Like, I want something that's decorative. So lo and behold, they had two candles, one that said blessed and one that said thankful. Now, the blessed one was the shorter candle, and thankful was the taller candle. They both looked fine inside the lantern, but if I had to really choose which size, I would have chosen the larger one because it just looked like it was made to go in there, not that you were just placing a candle in there. So I know it's crazy how I think about like everything matters, but that's just the way that God made me. So, it is what it is. So I said, Lord, I agonized for like 15 minutes over those two candles because I kept telling God, I really need to give her the blessed because, of course, she's blessed. She lives according to your word. Like she is, very spiritual. So, of course, blessed made a lot of sense. And even though it was at Thanksgiving, so thankful would have been appropriate, it's just like, who gives a thankful candle to somebody for their birthday? Okay, this is what I'm thinking. So God was adamant that I had to get her the thankful candle. So I said, okay, I will do it. So I go home, I put all that together, and then God revealed to me the reason why he wanted me to get the lantern was to be a reminder to her of how bright her light shines. And then he wanted me to get her the thankful candle to show her how thankful I am that she's in my life. So I said, okay, God, now this is on my way home. So, now he's revealing it to me. And I just had this sigh of relief come over me like, okay, I don't have to agonize anymore. I made the right decision because now he's told me why that was so important. So I go home and then I knew that I would be giving her the gift, at a get together. So there would be other people there. And God wanted me to write her a letter and explain to her how I came up with the idea to get her the lantern with that thankful candle in it and what the whole meaning behind it was. Why God was so adamant about me getting that gift for her. So I typed it out for her and I put the letter in her birthday card. And so, of course, she did read it while we were at the get together, but she didn't. And I left it up to her whether she wanted to read it out loud or not, but she chose not to. And I understand because she didn't know what it was going to say, so she didn't want something very personal to be just, put out there. So she read it privately and she did tear up. Like, that's always a true sign when you know that you gave somebody the right gift because they understand why you gave them that gift. And she just really started tearing up. And later, I just thank God for helping me because it was within my budget. It was really, really a beautiful gift. I mean, now it just sits in her house. It's a constant reminder of what God said to her through that gift. And, sometimes we just need to have those reminders. And when somebody goes through the trouble to ask God, and God so graciously tells that person how to give that in a gift to be a constant reminder to you of how He sees you, is just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, anyway, I guess that's like a roundabout way of telling you, how we see God in everything. But I I really just want you to think about it and just ask yourself, do I see God in everything that I do? Like when I am running late and I'm trying to get somewhere quickly and then you get every red light or whatever and then I've had God literally reroute me and I didn't understand why until I got to where I would have been, and then I see that there was an accident. And if I had not been delayed, I could have been in that accident. So, just little things like that. But if you do not pay attention to all the things that God does in your life, big and small, then I invite you to re examine how you look at things and consider allowing God to show you how you can pay attention to everything that He does. And more importantly, I would love for everyone to just give it a try by asking God what gift you should give somebody the next time you have to give a gift. Like, you will be so shocked at what He tells you to give. Because I do it for like baby showers, wedding gifts, like every single gift that I have to give somebody, I always, like, God has had me literally make gifts for people that I had no idea how to make. And then when I got through, because he would start to give me the vision of it, when I would get through, it was the most beautiful gift I could have ever imagined. And guess what? Nobody has that gift because nobody could ever create it the way that he told me to create it. So that's what I love about God and about watching how he teaches me to allow him to be a part of every single thing that I do. And then the greatest compliment that you could ever get is when somebody sees how you always see things of how God is in everything that you do. And so they think of you as being that godly person because everything you talk about is what God, how He was in that situation and what He did to help you through that situation. All right, so just remember now, do you see things godly or do you see them ungodly? All right, now don't forget to subscribe. Please do a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with a friend if you liked it. And just continue watching for my next videos. I have a lot of stories to tell, so this will go on forever, trust me. All right, y'all. I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye now.